In this episode of It Came From My Side of the Laundry Room, we're going to dive into another collection of Fistful of Joes. Hello everybody and welcome to It Came From My Side of the Laundry Room. I apologize, I've had a ton of technical hiccups during filming this week, and I'm even coming to you on my cell phone just so I could get it out to you this week. But unfortunately, I got to do another collection of Fistful of Joes. I had some fun stuff planned for this episode of It Came From My Side of the Laundry Room, and unfortunately that'll have to wait till next week, hopefully, if I can get everything all straightened out. But for now, please enjoy a look back at some of the older episode segments of Fistful of Joes that I did. Here we go. Yo, Joe! Okay, here we are again with one of my boxes. So let's reach in and see what we get. Oh, that's right, you shouldn't be looking. Let's see what we got. Let me put the box here to the side. Whew, let's take a look. Hey, first off is one I actually have a file card for, but none of his other gear. Yeah, your friend and mine, Shipwreck. Always loved the character. He was so awesome in the cartoon. Let me put down the baggie. Bring up the figure. Of course, he's handled as a punchline now with all the hipsters, but this dude was one of the best. Everyone had to have a Shipwreck. Like I said, in the comic, or in the cartoon, he was awesome. In the comic, he was even more awesome, a gruff badass. But honestly, simplistic design, but spoke volumes. I mean, I don't know if it'll be too blurry, but his face, I mean, he just looks like a badass, but he's dressed as a naval corpsman. Unfortunately, I don't have Polly anymore that he came with. Maybe one day I'll find a Polly and put it in a bag with Shipwreck. Okay, now who's next? I don't even know, so let's look. Frostbite. Now, I'm going to lose some Joe cred here. I totally forget the vehicle that he originally came with. But I remember he came with a big awesome gun with a big scope, if I'm remembering correctly. But yet again, a very simplistic design of just all white with some tan details of fur on his hat and around his collar. Hey, he's a little loose, but still pretty good. I remember a neighbor kid of mine had one, and it was buried in the sand forever, and that sand pitted the crap out of the figure, and he wasn't white anymore. Costume was more of a brown after that. Looked more like Dusty than this dude. Anyway, was it the Snow Bear or something? Because he's got like a little bear logo here. Maybe that's what the name was. I know we talked about it in our favorite G.I. Joe vehicle episode, because it was one of Chris's favorites. But the name escapes me at the moment. But that happens. It's the middle of the night, and yeah, fueled by coffee. Tend to forget some things. Okay, next Joe on the list. Sneak peek. Now, my sneak peek has his gear. Except, I think he's missing a microphone, little walkie-talkie thing that came off his helmet. Now, I believe the story about this guy is he's named after one of Stephen King's sons. Not Joe Hill, but one of his other sons. And yet again, I feel like a bonehead for not remembering off the top of my head, but that's why I have a ton of source books to look at, so I don't have to remember. But a very interesting figure. Look at the knife here under his wrist, like he's going to shank somebody when stuff gets tough. What year is this dude? Ooh, I never noticed that. Broken peg. I don't know what's worse, having a broken peg in the figure or having a broken peg on the vehicle. Because they never broke clean. It would always fracture out a little bit and look miscolored and crappy. That's a shame. I must have bought this guy either flea market or local used toy store. 1987. But here's some of his gear. With a name like Sneak Peek, he was into recon. So he had this huge, like, periscope thing where he'd look through this little eyepiece here and have this huge vision here. He also came with binoculars and very basic, ooh, and broke, yikes, M16. By this time, a lot of the Joes didn't have realistic weaponry. It was some of it was very big, cartoony looking. Nowhere near where it became with like Battle Force 2000 or anything. But good figure. Ooh. Here we go. Now, I definitely bought this guy because I never had his vehicle, even though I wanted it so bad, and I still do. But Thrasher. I mean, how 80s is that? Look at that. This is what how a punk would do their hair in the 80s. Ooh, what a ruffian. Got a ripped shirt on with his stomach hanging out. Now you know he means business. But he has a very Mad Max-ish look to him, and his vehicle did too. Still very stiff, in great condition. But, let's see what year this dude was. 1986. Spike shin guards. Spikes up here on his, I guess, epaulets. But a later addition to the Dreadnoughts and very awesome. Like I said, always wanted his vehicle, and if I were to find it today for a good enough price, I would get it. Thrasher. Now the last one here is another Funko, or Fun School, or let's get his gear on him. Excuse me. But one of my personal favorites ever since he came out. Flint. Awesome shotgun. Awesome look. Let's see if I can find some info here on him. Nope. Oh, what's this? 1988. Like I said, I think it's a Fun School reproduction. When I first bought my whole batch of them, when I decided I was going to start collecting Joe figures again. But Flint. As soon as he was introduced in the cartoon, I mean, he was the leader when Duke wasn't around. But, I mean, for some reason as a kid, the shotgun I thought was so awesome. And he has the shells there on his little bandolier. Has a nice backpack that really could be used for anybody. Got canteen on it, grenades. Would hate to confuse those. Think you're taking a cap off a canteen and you're pulling a pin off a grenade. Ah, I'm so thirsty. Boom! But anyway, Flint. I mean, honestly, I can't say enough, and I don't know what to say. I mean, he is one of the best characters, figures, whatever. And I'm sure a lot of you, your childhood, I mean, Flint was right there by your side. But anyway, in the early 90s, Hasbro wanted to go back to the original roots of G.I. Joe and the 12-inch figure. Now, what better way to do it than to make 12-inch versions of some of the great and colorful and perfect characters that came out in the 80s. So, the first one that came out harkened back to the original line, and it was Flint. Now, he was very basic. You could get other clothes for him, other little battle packs with weapons, just like the original Joe figures. But this time, they gave it the name of Flint. As you can see, mine here has some grenades on his belt. He's got a pistol on his side, which, I mean, just like the originals, come out of the holster. If I can get it out. Oh, there we go. And mind you, I have a footlocker full of gear for this dude and the other ones, but for sake of time, I couldn't dig them all out at the moment. But he also comes with K-bar knife. I guess that constitutes it that. If not, it's just your typical Rambo-esque survival knife. But I have him just in his normal t-shirt that he came in. And let's see here. Yep, he does have a scar on the side, but it's painted on. So, I believe one of the next ones was Destro. Now, I have all of his gear. Like I said, it's all put away. But check that out. They got his shoulder pads on there, his high collar, and his chrome dome. But what's cool is, and mind you, it was kind of a disappointment, you could open it. You could see the face of Destro. Are you ready? Spoiler alert. Very GQ. Look at that dude. Not what I expect under this mask. That's for sure. If anything, they should have did like they did for some of the Cobra Commanders. Give them a mask. Or even like our next entrant into the 12-inch scale. Oh, his helmet fell off. Snake Eyes. Now they went with, I believe this is version 4, which was the beginning of the Dayglow era. Oh, watch out, watch out. Excuse me, folks. Destro trying to take out Duke. And he came with a backpack. I don't have his original sword, so I gave him a Sigma 6 sword as a stand-in. But, as you can see, it says G.I. Joe and Snake Eyes, so doesn't really help being a covert when your name's written on you. But when you take off his helmet here, which is the, I guess if you want to say SWAT team, or more appropriately the paintball competition Snake Eyes helmet, you can see that he has blonde eyebrows and a scar across his eye. So that came from the comics, that he had blonde hair, and if they wanted to do it right, he would have had a bulbous eye poking out, but I'll settle for a scar. That's pretty cool. But, I mean, these figures were very flexible. They took a page out of the Barbie handbook of it not being exposed joints, that they were inside the rubber. You can hear, I don't want to break you, dude, the clicks there. Very much like an old Barbie figure. So, Snake Eyes. Next is one of my favorites. And this one came a little bit later, actually. This came in the Venom... I had to look there. The Venom and Valor line. Now this is a pretty slick Cobra Commander. Has this cool half cape here. This cool, what do you call those? Epaulets. And it comes with 2 Lugers. And nothing fancy about his helmet. It does come off, but you have some weird Darth Vader stuff going on there. But you got the high collar, like the original Cobra Commander figure came with. Granted, it's not the button to the side shirt, but it's pretty close. Cool pockets and everything, but definitely one of my favorites from that line. Now this one, I'm proud to say, I still have in the package. There's a lot of things that I don't have mint in package anymore, but this I do. It's another Cobra Commander that came in the Hall of Fame G.I. Joe line in the early 90s. This one comes with a sound and light gun. Let's see if it still works. Awesome. Built to last. Now, let's see here. Special numbered collector's edition. I believe they all were. The classic 12-inch tall, fully posable Cobra Commander. Realistic battle dress uniform and official dog tags. All these figures came with dog tags, but they are put into the footlocker. As you can see, this is the button to the side outfit that was made popular from his first toy appearance. Electronic light and sound weapon? Check, that still works. Cobra combat manual and gear. Now I see the manual in there, and believe me, I'd love to tear this sucker open and read it to see what juicy nuggets of information that it had. On the back, we have a history of the original 12-inch Joe figures. We got some of the other ones that were in the line. We had Duke, Cobra Commander, Stalker, and Snake Eyes, who all had light-activated weapons. Look at Stalker here. He has more of a rock and roll type of gun. I think they even made rock and roll in like his second outfit. I'm not sure though. This is what I always love when they list off the stuff he comes with. A removable synthetic non-flammable hood to disguise identity. Good thing it's non-flammable. Field Commander's battle dress jacket. Awesome. Yellow battle dress cord for extreme ruthlessness in action. So they're saying he pulls that off and chokes fools? Okay. Battle Command briefcase with storage for knife and pistol. A .22 caliber automatic Ruger Mark II standard model. Cobra Command rank insignia. Cobra Cutter all-purpose knife with sheath. A puncture-proof all-weather boots. Cobra synthetic skin face mask. Because underneath this, he just had the typical Cobra face mask. And metal ID plates, snake tags, issued by Cobra. Gotta be better in dog tags, snake tags. Anyway, those are the 12-inch figures that I have. And whenever I see them at flea markets and stuff, I automatically pick them up. But unfortunately, I haven't seen that many in a while. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed those Fistful of Joes. But here's a commercial.
Here's the Cobra Swamp Fire aborted our Zartan sisters Arana and their brother Xandar.
Swamp Copper changes color in bright sunlight, takes to the air to continue the fight.
And now you're looking at the Dreadnought's Thunder Machine.
Dreadnought's Thunder Machine, meanest machine you've ever seen, and it's out to get G.I. Joe! G.I. Joe!
Live Live the adventure of G.I. Joe, Cobra Swamp Fire, and Dreadnought's Thunder Machine with drivers sold separately.
Joe!
Now, I can tell you, the box I have chosen tonight is a mishmash of OG figures and the 25th anniversary figures, which for the longest time, it's like, well, those aren't real. I love them, but those aren't real Joe figures. But how many years has that been now? So I think that they're starting to approach a retro status. So maybe I should start looking at them as real Joe figures. Anyway, let's see who we get. Ooh, we got a big one this time. Special way to celebrate a special episode. First off, we have a Viper figure. Let me take him out of the bag, of course. This is, and I have many ones from different collections. Oh, this is one from 1986. As you can see, his face mask is a little beat up, but this is a classic character. This is, in my mind, even cooler than normal Cobra troops. They share something similar to Cobra Commander with the mask, and they just look like they have a very functional outfit. I'm assuming this is probably bulletproof. They got grenades and the color scheme, red, black, and blue. Simplistic yet perfect. But like I said, I got dozens of these dudes kicking around from all different runs of the toys. So let's bag him up, put him to the side to be put into a special container of already displayed figures. Excuse me. But this dude wants to be seen. This is... I didn't originally have this guy. But when my neighbor, who did have it, moved away, this dude was still left in his backyard. So he went home with me. He's a little worse for wear, but still, I love him all the same. The original Storm Shadow. As you can see, he's missing a thumb, which is a problem a lot of the old ones get. He's very weathered, very orange, rusted all to heck. Very wobbly, look at him. But this, straight to my heart, my childhood. I always wanted this dude. I always wanted Storm Shadow with his awesome backpack, his bow, his swords. I mean, that just takes me back. What year was it exactly? 1984. His rump's got a crack in it. This dude has seen some stuff. But dang, man. Just the memories of when he came out. Love it. Okay, off to that pile with ye. Now, this was picked up. I have this guy bagged, well, this vehicle bagged up here. And I have his other piece right here in front of me. Let me put it together real quick. Like. Uh-oh. It has been damaged in storage. Oh my god. I'm going to have to fix it. Oh lord, now I feel horrible. But Zartan's Swamp Skier. The handlebars broke off. Man, I feel horrible. But I found this online and I just had to get it. The original stickers are all on it. It was perfect until I effed it up here. but I'll glue that little sucker down. But everything's still movable. I have the Zartan that it came with, and the little box. And I have the little tow cord somewhere as well in here. But that, like I've mentioned before, we didn't have our finger on the pulse of the toy industry like nowadays. I got this dude, not this one in particular, but I got Zartan for Christmas one year from my parents' friends. And I'd never seen it before. And a color changing figure, that blew my mind. And I hate to admit this, and I'm sure I'll get to it whenever we do pull my OG Zartan out. That color changing plastic tasted weird. Anyway, next. One that I picked up later because God knows I didn't have the vehicle this dude came with. But Cutter. Little aged, little worn in. But these are almost the figures I'd rather get. You pay a little bit less, which I'm always a fan of, but you can tell that these were well loved and played with. And just looking at that and how it aged and how it's worn, I mean, that reflects on my childhood when I didn't even play with this dude. The same neighbor that had the Storm Shadow had the Whale and had Cutter. But this dude saw some fun days, and having figures like that in my collection make me proud that, you know, they still get love and attention when I take a look at them. But great design, so simple. The one comic appearance that I remember him most in was when G.I. Joe early on assaulted Cobra Island, and he grounded the Whale, and he was actually had to hold up one of the cannons because it was malfunctioning to shoot a Rattler out of the sky. Awesome. Next we have, I'm not sure which line this is. This might still be within the OG, maybe the Sound Fighters line or whatever, but Cobra Commander. Now this is a return to form, and it's perfect. I mean, it's a darker color, a different head sculpt than the original hooded Cobra Commander. And he has this big flat back, which makes me think it was one of the Sound Warriors or whatever, because they had huge backpacks that would go on that you could push buttons and pew, 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 boom, 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 stuff like that. And believe me, I sounded better than they originally did. It's like that, pew, 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 91. So yeah, this came towards the latter part of the run. I'm going to say it's a Sound Fighters or whatever they were called. But it's still such a great figure. And it's in great condition. And I found them super cheap because I don't think many people are collecting like this era of Cobra Commander. But I dig it. I think he's awesome. Little barrel chested. But pretty sweet. Into the pile with ye. Next, one of my absolute favorite Cobra figures of all time, the Snow Serpent. This is one that I originally had as a kid, and I wish I could say I still had his gear. I might somewhere. I think I have another one that's full. Don't quote me on that. But well loved, rusted up, because yeah, I wanted to play with my stuff in the tub. And even Snow Serpent made it into the briny deep. But what's awesome about him is the fur trimmings on his gloves, around his neck. The detail of his jumpsuit, his mask. I mean, that's spooky looking. Sorry if that's blurry. But he came with the coolest gear. I mean, he came with this portable missile that hooked onto his backpack and came with a little legs, and you could just imagine like he's popping up over a snowbank and blasting away at something with his anti-tank missile. His emblem on his arm still in great condition, so I'm happy about that. Oh, and I love these big pockets. The detail that was even given to that. I mean, the people that designed Joe cared. And I think that's why we all care, because they cared. Now next is the Toxo Viper. I'll put his helmet on. Look at this big honking helmet. That's awesome. Look at the detail on that. Got his awesome backpack here. Even have his hose. And his chemical spraying gun. 'Cause the toxic waste he's spewing ain't gonna mutate no turtles, it's gonna melt them. Great colors. Purple, teal, the bright red. Let me double check the age on this dude. 1988. So we're far away from the neon era, but it's starting to seep in a little bit. But these were the type of colors that we were wearing in the 80s. Some crazy stuff. Got some jam shorts like this with these colors. Shoot, you'd be awesome. Nowadays, people look back at it and scoff. Oh, that's so ugly. But back in the day, you'd be rocking it with those colors. Thanks for bearing with me this week, and I apologize again. Next time, we'll have more freshness from It Came From My Side of the Laundry Room. But until then, keep being rad, stay dorky, peace out.
Yeah.